During the past 6 weeks, I have been involved in 3 different tornadoes. Lives were lost, homes destroyed, and it was jarring to say the least. But after that third one, I couldn't help but wonder, why me? What was God, source, the universe, whoever, whatever powers might be, what were they trying to communicate to me? Was there a bigger lesson in all of this? Turns out there absolutely was. The very first tornado, I was actually safe at home, and the tornado passed just south of where I live, maybe 1 or 2 miles south. Big, huge storm. What was really concerning for me, though, is that my husband had fled the most destroyed neighborhood where he happened to be working just 15 minutes before that storm struck. And in that neighborhood was a property that my husband and I were actually under contract to purchase. It was still standing, had some roof damage, siding damage, even windows blown out, interior damage. But all that mattered was that my husband was okay. He made it home safely despite having to drive through that storm. And our home, our personal home, everything was good. We were good, right? Okay. We live in the Midwest. Tornadoes happen. Not my first rodeo, nor his. Second tornado was actually on our wedding anniversary. We decided to take a trip just for the weekend up to a lake a couple of hours away, and just thought we'd lay on the beach, enjoy a few cocktails, just enjoy, each other without work and laundry and life, right? Well, the second we got there, and I mean the second that we arrived into that lake town, I looked up at the sky and I checked the radar. I knew it was supposed to rain that weekend, but the sky looked quite ominous and foreboding. So I checked the weather and it said there was a storm coming in a couple of hours. Well, we parked our vehicle thinking, well, instead of going straight to the beach, let's go get some lunch, see what happens with the weather. We no more parked the car and got out of our vehicle when sirens started going off and winds. It was so instantaneous how these winds just came in and started blowing signs and outdoor cafe seating areas. Things were just flying everywhere, tree limbs falling down into the street onto power lines. We were very fortunate that a woman with a boutique that was right about where we were standing opened her door and said, hurry up, come on in. And we ended up going in the basement of that boutique with everybody else that had taken shelter there, I would say for about 30 minutes until they said it was safe to go outside. And when we emerged, it was total, it was awful. Long and short of that tornado, it was actually quite devastating. There was no power in many places, including the resort we were staying at, which meant no keys to rooms, no restaurants, no buying anything because credit cards, payments couldn't be processed. There was a state of emergency declared, a lot of damage, and unfortunately, again, it was a lake town and it was over 4th of July weekend. There was a boat that capsized with 10 family members, and 3 unfortunately passed away, and they were children, all 3 under the age of 10. That's a hard way to spend an anniversary. Can't really be happy and celebrate anything when people have lost their lives, when mothers have lost their children. Sorry, it's an emotional thing. It's quite traumatic, and especially with the trauma from the life I've lived already, my history. It was very hard to watch this all play out on this lake. So we obviously cut that trip short. Third tornado. I was on my way to a doctor's appointment. I'm in that wonderful stage of life, perimenopause. And again, There was weather that was supposed to happen, a storm coming later that day, but the storm wasn't expected to even begin until a couple of hours after my appointment. So I figured I'll be home and good before any of that happens. Well, again, here I was driving straight into some very dark skies, very ominous and foreboding weather. Once again, looked quite familiar. And I was a couple hours from home again, because this is a specialist that I see for hormones. My phone started going off with the weather alert saying to take shelter immediately. That's when I heard sirens going off. There was hail, there was wind. I was in such it's an alarming thing to be on the road when you're being told to take shelter because a life-threatening tornado is headed straight in your direction and in the next town over. I was only 4 minutes away from the building that my doctor is in, so I made it there, and they held us in a hallway with minimal, things that could harm us, I should say, if anything happened. Made it through that. But again, looking back, I think what really kind of made me question, like, what's going on here? Lived in the Midwest my whole life. Again, been through many tornadoes, tornado warnings, seen damage from tornadoes, but 3 in such a short time frame. And then the key for me, the kicker was I talk very openly about what I personally feel equates to success. I call it the success trifecta, which is health, wealth, and happiness. And by the way, wealth, we can go on a tangent, but it does not necessarily mean financial wealth. It means wealth and abundance in anything. But health, wealth, and happiness, for me, being the success trifecta, and looking back on these 3 tornadoes, and what did each tornado touch? One touched an investment property, my wealth, financial wealth. One touched my anniversary trip, my happiness. And the last one touched a situation where I was trying to improve my health, wealth, and happiness, all affected. So yeah, it felt a little personal. But here's what I realized after some reflection on that. Whether these tornadoes were meant to give me this lesson or have some broader lesson for everybody altogether, I truly believe that what happened was that these storms didn't come here to destroy anything. The storms came to reveal what was still standing. And I want you to think about this, because we go through life, I hate to say, all of us taking for granted that our husbands go to work and come home, that our children can go enjoy an afternoon on a holiday weekend and come home safely, that we can take weekend trips away and enjoy ourselves, that we can pursue passive income through investment properties and expect those homes to remain standing and weather the storms, that we can expect our lives to weather the storms, that our health will survive those storms. But the thing is, storms will always come. Life happens. And there is nobody who does not experience struggle in life. Everybody experiences some level of adversity or, inability or some things that come along in life. But what matters, what truly matters, and again, the broader lesson for all of us, is what are our lives built on? What is our foundation? Because when I look back on what these 3 tornadoes did to my health, wealth, and happiness, I started to see it a little bit differently when I started to look at it from the reflection of gratitude instead of the point of view of destruction. Because let me tell you what came out of it is that first tornado, yeah, it damaged a property that my husband and I are buying. But what's even better is that it's being repaired, and the property that we will end up purchasing when it's complete will be very much renovated, saving us, particularly my husband, the time and money and effort. And mostly for me, it's the time that he spends away at work. That is time that he can now, devote to something else, hopefully me. But what a wonderful gift to have. And then that second tornado, as awful as that experience was for my husband and I personally, obviously there were tensions were high. Things were happening among a lot of people, and we ended up having a very necessary and long overdue conversation about things in our own life. And it actually revealed a lot of things that we needed to have those discussions about. So by the time we came home from that trip the next day, earlier than expected, we were in just a much more solid place as a couple than when we had left home the day before. So I'm grateful for that and what that storm did for us and our marriage long term. Now, that third storm that I drove into on my way to a doctor's appointment, well, the beauty of that one is just reminding myself of how resilient I am, and that even though I lived most of my life in abusive situations, being controlled, manipulated, bullied, and even still am by grown adults, the beauty is my nervous system has learned to see that all that chaos does not always mean that bad things are going to happen to me. All that chaos can come, and I have learned to stay regulated so that it doesn't affect my mental and physical health. And to acknowledge that, to acknowledge where one is versus where one has been and how far we've come in our own self-development, it's a great thing. It's a wonderful thing, because we need to stop once in a while and have gratitude for who we've become, who we've always been, really, what we have, and what we have in the present moment, including the people like my husband, who just barely escaped that first tornado, compared to those children who, unfortunately, with their families, were not able to escape that second one. Because we never know how much time we have. We never know that our homes will still be standing at the end of the day. We never know what's going to happen with our health, with our life, with the people around us. But what we can hold true and what we can count on is what foundation we have built our lives upon. So, with that, I would love to hear from you what you have built your life upon. What would still be standing if you lost anything or everything today? What would you still have that you would be grateful for? Please leave that in the comments. And while you're down there, click like, click subscribe, and please go to danasdiaz.com, where you can read the full blog post that accompanies this full form video. You can also take my Power Shift Diagnostic Quiz by clicking the little link right at the top of my homepage, danasdiaz.com. That quiz will actually reveal to you some of your subconscious beliefs that will give you a hint of how you can improve the things that you are grateful for, the things that you feel about yourself, and how you can build more boundaries and confidence and align your life into one where you do have that success trifecta, right? So check out danasdiaz.com. And again, while you're there, check out my books, my memoir trilogy, my courses, and all the things. And then please tune in again next week when I will share with you another beautiful life lesson meant to build a life you love because you deserve it. Have a beautiful day.